أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد ومحمد. يا إخواني وأخواتي, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of Allah be upon you, inshallah. So we continue with this book, which have a French title, La foi et la force, which can be translated in English with the faith and the strength. So, two concepts that are part of l'art martial Silat de Banten en Indonésie, Silat martial art of Banten in Indonesia. So, an important academic work, and it was also, there is an Indonesian version of this present book. So the first edition was in French, and so not too long ago, and so this work of importance found its niche, its place in the Indonesian audience too. So first chapter, regional inclusion of Bantenese martial arts. So some historical element on the social inclusion of the Malay martial arts. So in this case, Malay is not used for the specific land of Malaysia, which is a country which share Melayu and Malay ethnicity with Indonesia. There is also many other subgroups in Indonesia, but the whole culture of Nusantara is called here, of the archipelago of Indonesian area, are called Malay, Melayu. So this is a generic term. So the condition of expansion of the ritual initiation, the martial ritual initiation in the Malay world are unknown or not so well known. So you can find some relevant articles in the dossier sur les arts martiaux d'Asie du Sud-Est, written by Jean-Marc de Grave. The researchers have trouble to make lights on their origin and modality of appearance. The common point between these practices and their local characteristics. Douglas Farrer came with numerous version and diversion version of on the etymology and the myths of the origin of Silat. So there is many narratives about the history and the etymology of Silat. So for some, this is Silat is the bond between family members or community. For others, Silat is derived from silah, which is weapon in Arabic. From other, it's derived from solat, so it's like a prayer, salat, stuff like that. There is many etymology. Sometimes it's a sad, sometimes it's a sin. There is numerous hypotheses, but not consistent explanation of the origin of Silat. And you find also in some other region in the Malay area, the word silek used. And silek is from different constructions than silat. So there is some variation. المعلومات العالم. أهلا يا الأخ من فلسطين، مرحبا. And for those who don't know, there is also a plan of implantation of Palestinian citizens who lost their homes and country in Indonesia in the future. And when I was in Indonesia, I found the local population very supportive of the Palestinian cause because of the harsh treatment they had to endure in the end of the Israeli colonialism. So the condition of expansion, etymology of the origin of Silat. So you can see shadows of the prophet. So there is a book of Douglas Farrer which is called Shadows of the Prophet. And you can see the page 29 to 34 on the etymology and the origin of Silat as a word and as an art. Like him, Jean-Marc de Grave, which have made numerous works on the question of martial arts, Malay martial arts development, recall that a certain amount of scholars make make converge the expansion of the Silat from west to east with the propagation of Islam. So in fact, Islam and Silat are highly related, and it is evident in the structure of Silat. So Silat, you get some words that cannot there is a link between the Arabic language and also you have الحركات for the movement, Garakan, it is closely associated, and you have also many sailors from Yemen who came in Indonesia. There is a highly represented faction of the population from Arabic descent from Yemen, and so there is some indication of some exchange. You are also mentioned of some scholars and Sufi from order like Al-Kubrawiya, so it is from Iran, and also other parts of the Arabic Muslim world. So it is interesting to mention that. And this hypothetical thesis came in agreement with the work of Martin von Brunesen. Sorry, the brother لو سمحت أخي العزيز من فلسطين، ما بعرف شو عم تعمل هون، يعني مع السبام والكلمات أكثر من 10 مرات، فإذا ما في احترام بينك وبيني يعني ابعد من هون، ما تعمل السبام يعني 10 مرات مع هذه الكلمات، فهمت؟ يمكن هو من ليبيا يمكن. صمت. So there is a link from objective researcher on the question that the expansion of Silat is linked with the expansion of Islam, and it can be clearly understandable when you see the mark that Islam left in the Indonesian language, the even in the martial arts depiction of techniques. There is a high percentage of jurus tariq, for example, tariq, which mean to pull in Indonesian. It's straight from Arabic. Sometimes in Arabic we use to utruk. It's like to lift something, to abandon something, and stuff like that. So there is a link between the two. Sorry, I'm gonna remove the problematic guy. So these hypotheses are in line with the transmission of religious practice and also the technique, the combat technique, and invulnerability associated with this system, these combat systems. There is a problematic point with this book. It is because in France, which is a colonialist state, obviously, like most country of Europe, you can talk and make focus on Islam freely. It is suspicious. And I felt that the author have to, every time he speak of religion, speak also of this concept of practice of unharming, of invulnerability, which is a way to decrease the pressure. Because in France, it's very sensitive to speak of Islamic faith, even if it is related to martial arts and whatsoever. That's why in the past, during the 2000, beginning of 2000, I had the opportunity to see in his gym one Muslim champion, Lumpini champion of Thailand. It was Pornpitak Pechudamshai, with at this from southern Thailand, and it was in Bangkok. It was in Mae Mon Kon Yim, a well-known training center. It was called also in English International Muay Thai Training Center and stuff like that. So there was some top fighters like that at that time, like Pornpitak Pechudamshai, which was Lumpini champion in 126 pounds. Also Kaulan Kaovishit, stuff like that. I also met for the first time here the trainer of Buakau Porpamuk. So it was Ajahn Chut. It was in 2003 exactly. And so because I was training near this camp, I was training at the time in Joki Gym, which is a camp which has many people of Northeast Thailand. So Buddhist from Northeast, from the Lao region, Isan, of Thailand, and the camp which was near Maimun Konyem was predominant with fighters from South Thailand and Muslim from the south. And so there was even a photo of Lumpini Stadium, one of the biggest stadium in Thailand, with Rajadamnern, two biggest stadium, of Pornpitak Pechudamchai with a kefir, like Palestinian, like the you find in Palestine, symbol of Palestine, because Muslim fighters like Namsakno Yutakan Kamton, like even Kaulan Kauvishit when he defended his title against Namsakno Yutakan Kamton in 2000, sometimes they wore an Islamic dress, which like a kefir of which is remnant of their Muslim faith. In France, they make a subject on him on a national channel, so huge project to report a documentary dedicated to Muay Thai. They presented this man in this documentary as a Buddhist from a northeast region. So they used the footage and they add their own narrative, thinking that nobody was knowing this man. But this man is a champion, well known in Thailand. And Pornpitak Pechudamchai is a Muslim. But it is so problematic in France that they intentionally changed his history and made him a Buddhist, and also said that he was, for a short time, going to a monastery in North Thailand, in Chiang Mai, to observe a monastic Buddhist retreat and become a monk, which was totally false. But this is the spirit and the attitude toward Islam in France. And that's why, even I'm French and I'm French educated, I do my lectures now in English, because I had some problems with even the state, because this is the way it is in France. This is not a Muslim-friendly country. It is not open to other culture. Be it problematic or not, they have a stance, anti-religious stance, and even more to Islam. So I decided to make only video in English for now, because I'm fed up. I even closed my French channel, which had more than 1,000 subscribers, because of that, because of the operation. And also, since I lost my house from southern Lebanon, the house of my father was in my village, was totally removed from the cart. They made me even more complication with interview, with the states, pressure and stuff like that. They didn't consider me as a victim. They tried to literally break me, to no avail, but I chose to retreat from interaction with this toxic relationship. So, for his part, the historian Denis Lombard have made note that the warrior practices and their systematic ordinance can be or maybe have developed from the 7th century, with the expansion of the Buddhist empire of Sriwijaya. So Denis Lombard, in his book Le Carrefour Javanais. So this is also this is from a French book, and so these scholars has all the latitude is the interest of devoying the historical link between Silat and Islam, things that most of the specialists don't do. So it is a stance of even one time another French. So Chinese influences and Muslim influences have clearly make a contribution in the formation of this practice. And even more and more, we remark in few schools some Occidentals influences, Western influence. And also from South Asia and Eastern Asia. The ritual initiation of Silat is deeply enrooted in the Malay Peninsula. You can find this also in the book Shadows of the Prophet by Farrer. So in Indonesia, like it was shown in the book of reference written by Onong Mariono, the principal region of development of Silat are East Sumatra, West and South, Rio, Java West, Java Center, and East Java. Warrior ritual practice are well spread in all the Malay world in some specific forms. But the systematic formalization in a respective system may and always differ. That's why the classification of this practice is difficult. So the origin of practice of invulnerability, which are most of the time joined with the Malay ritual of initiation, are also of uncertain nature and origin. So in the Bantenese context, for example, the practice of debus is the word for invulnerability, reveal a strong influence of the exercise transmitted by the Qadiriyya or Rifa'iyya brotherhood. So in fact, some Sufi orders. So for those who don't know, Al-Qadiriyya is from Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, a Persian mystic, which is considered by his adherent, maybe since one of his great son, like a descendant of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in fact, Rifa'i also is considered as a Sayyid Musawi, so a descendant from Al-Imam Musa al-Kazim, straight to Imam Ali and the daughter of Prophet Muhammad, Fatima Zahra, alayhim salam. And so Rifa'iyya is more represented in Sumatra West than the Qadiriyya. Can have also some pre-Islamic origin. And so we can turn to a question made by Jean-Marc de Grave, which want to know if the practice of invulnerability, like the Debos in Banten and the Dabui in Minangkabau. Minangkabau is a region of Sumatra, or the Kanuragan of Java, are attached to those we found in other region of the archipelago and other group of Nusantarian, so inhabitant of the Malay archipelago. And if they are a part of enlarge of the context of Southeast Asia or Australasia. So regarding the origin of the ritual initiation, so ritual initiation in the Islamic sense, and the technique of invulnerability and harming, which are associated. The comparison can be made with other practice of Southeast Asia, or more widely Asiatic in China, Thailand, Birmania, Laos, or Vietnam. Because the link between dances and sometimes royal dancing ceremony or theater or medical application or protection, health, or invulnerability can be really and often explicit. And also, one more, the practices linked to Kalari Payat, Indian Kalari Payat, which is a martial art practiced in the area of South India, Sri Lanka. Himself linked to pranayama, where the control of the breath and vital energy, prana, can offer a comparative perspective and explain a link between more or less Indian influence on some of this country. with India included also. So at the scale of the Malay world, Jean-Marc de Grave offers different elements concerning the influence of Malay Silat and Indonesian Silat on the martial arts of the Philippines. And there is a link to the Philippines. Silat being historically practiced in the Filipino archipelago. And before the other martial current of trends of Philippines, like Arnis or Eskrima, which came after the colonialization of Spain. So they proceed from multiple influence, some technical fencing techniques imported by the Spaniards, and martial contacts with United States of America and Japan. The techniques of Kali, Eskrima, and Arnis, and also the empty weapon form of fighting called panantukan, and called in English dirty boxing, tend to show numerous similarities with a lot of well-known styles of martial arts of Indonesia, notably with the Silat Simande from Sunda, Sundanese Silat Simande. For example, the elementary techniques of panantukan, so the Filipino version of empty hand fight, namely hubud, are identical to the two technical fundamental technique of Silat Simand, Jurus Dasar, with the Jurus Kelid and Jurus Selup. By the way, if the techniques of Simand Silat style were, which is the first Silat of Indonesia, it's like the mother of all Silat, this is the Simand Silat. From Abaqahir, and we will read some biographical content about this important and revered man, which is the ancestor of the Silat, even from some Silat teacher from Singapore, well-known of them, link the origin of Panchak Silat to the Simand Silat. So this is important. If the technique of Silat style Simand are practiced empty-handed at the beginning, and after with a knife, and after with the short stick, in the Filipino martial arts, this progression is reversed. So it is first the staff, short stick, second the knife, and at the end the empty hand technique. And this is mainly because maybe of the Spanish influence, which was heavy on fencing. And you have some many well known blades from Toledo and stuff like that. So there is a great tradition of swordmanship in Spain, and less tradition of empty-hand combat in Spain. So the colonization of Spain was always with a sword. It was in Santara, in Philippines, in Southeast Asia, or in America. It was always by the sword, with the imposition also of the Christianity as a faith. So huge amount of researches are needed to determine how this system evolved and what are the precise difference between the styles of North and Central Philippines, like Eskrima, Cali, the Mano, which were influenced by the Spanish fencing, and those of the South, Cali, more adapted to the technique of Silat. And we found also in this practice the use of some protection amulet of protection, like protection pendants. And the practice of proprietors rituals. So many rituals to like incantation to have, which is exist in Islam, by the use of some Quranic verses of dua. So there is a lack and a gap in research regarding um, the condition of interaction between the Malay martial arts and the Filipino ones. But the link is evident even by the Moro population of Philippines, which are in fact from Indonesian origin. The Moro, which are Muslims, and where was fierce opponent of the colonial rules of the Spanish and the Americans. Regarding the Malay general case, the region of Banten offer a rich setup for study, fruit of multiple influences and with systematization and classification of high standard regarding his techniques. So this is the end of this video. اللهم صل على محمد ومحمد. We know a little bit more regarding development, spreading of the Malay martial arts, their origin, attested or theorized by certain researcher and stuff like that. But you can make your own idea. But the links and the ray leads to the sun. والشمس المعرفة واضح في السماء. اللهم صل على محمد ومحمد. التمس الدعاء. الله معكم. إلى اللقاء. مع السلامة.